Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to Season 14 of the Attrition Sim Race Campus Oval Series presented by SM Racing Products. Tonight, we are here for the first time in league history at the wonderful Darlington Raceway, of course, down in Darlington, South Carolina. First time the league has ever visited this speedway, and I, for one, am very happy to see this track on the schedule, as it is my hometown track here in South Carolina. I believe also the hometown track of one of the other drivers here in the league as well, Mr. Charles Jettings. Opened up back in 1950, though. Like I said, first time ASRC has visited this track. It is asymmetrical, though. It is more of an egg shape than a proper oval. Turns 1 and 2, little bit tighter than turns 3 and 4. 25 degrees down in the first two corners, 23 in the last two. And of course, still following the 2003 NASCAR season. And in the real world, this track had a photo finish between Ricky Craven and Kurt Busch, 0.002 of a second dividing those two drivers. In what I believe still stands, at least is tied for the closest photo finish in NASCAR history after they started doing electronic timing and scoring. That is tied with, I believe, the 2011 Talladega race, I want to say. With that said, of course, not running the full 400-mile event here. Only 100 miles on the schedule here tonight. And it looks like drivers are making their way down to the starting grid, so how about we take a look down there and see how things will be shaken out here tonight. Starting out on the pole in the Giant Eagle number 29, that's going to be Mr. Tyler Aspinall on the pole here this evening. Starting his outside, going to be none other than Bryson Hicksonbog, followed by the number 15 of Carl Felver, our current championships points leader, rounding out position number 3. Fourth place going to go back to Mike Moultrie Jr. in that number 3 Good Wrench entry car. That is from driver out of Fresno, California, back and forth. Back in 5th, that's going to be the 17 of Daniel Wiles in the Amp Energy Machine, followed by Brian Sabelski, 4-time league champion in the 85, making his debut race here of season number 14 in this next-gen car. Definitely great to, not next-gen, Gen 4 car here this evening. Great to see Mr. Sabelski out here on the speedway again. 4 championships to his name, but first race here in season number 14. Back in 7th, that's going to be the Octium number 10 of Nick Fuller, driver out of Rochester, New York, followed by the 09 of Mr. Benjamin Harsty in the iRacing number 09. Back in 9th, that's going to be the 66 of Matt Sisler, followed by the 27 Dirt TV entry of Johnny Bell. 11's going to go back to the 13 of Landon Wood in the Wounded Warrior Project entry, followed by the 01 of Kevin West in the Trailer Park Dude entry, back in position number 12. 13th going to be going back to Charles Jettings in the number 96, followed by the BP Motorsports Liqui Moly 38 of Brandon Feeney. Back in 15th, that's going to be the CZ Robotics 24 of Corey Logan, followed by the Mooselanders 42 of Michael Sparks, back in 16th. 17th going to go back to the 45 of Mark Kluge in the, let's see here, in the branded entry. There we go. Then back in 18th, that's going to be the Coors number 4 of Daniel Sparks. Back in 19th, that's the 188 K9P Racing of Joshua Rudolph, followed by rookie driver who looks like he didn't make the call to the grid here, unfortunately. That's going to be the 93 of James Pileski. So 19 drivers officially making the call to the grid here. Only going to be one pace lap here at Darlington, and that pace car is already off. So we're getting ready to go green flag racing here in South Carolina. And just like that, green flag up in the air for the first time here for the Darlington 100. Going to be 74 laps the distance, and so far it is side by side down into turn number 1. Drivers up there really ripping that outside wall the best they can. Pretty much all you can do here at Darlington with the way the banking is. You got to keep it out high against that outside wall. And so far, it's looking like Bryson Hicksonbog in the Hugger Oranges entry is the driver that is really making that outside line work for him so far. Carl Felver down to the inside in that mellow yellow 15. Right down there right about having the nose on the quarter panel, but not able to keep the run going. He's going to drift up to the wall as well and try and make that high line work back there, along with Mr. Mike Moultrie Jr. also up in the top four here. As it looks like the four of them start to pull away here in the early goings of this one. Just behind, back in fifth, is Daniel Wild as we have a scrape against the wall. That's Tyler Aspinall having a little bit of a scrape against the wall there. Losing a little bit of ground to Hicksenbog. Carl Felver as well getting around him. I don't know if Mike Moultrie Jr. is going to be able to make the pass down on the bottom though, and the answer is going to be no, he does not. Going to be ranking back into line here, heading down the backstretch. For a moment there, it looked like Mr. Aspinall was just about to get a run going there in that number 29 machine, but not quite able to make it work. Starting to single file out here around the speedway. 74 laps around this mile-long track that is, excuse me, not mile-long track, mile and a little bit over a third here at Darlington. And that, of course, is 2.19 kilometers for those of you who use the metric system. We've got a little bit of battle going on here. Back here in the mid-pack, this is the final two spots of the top 10 for Kevin West and Matt Sisler side by side. Sisler scraping against the outside wall in that 66 machine as West is able to make the move happen. So far so good. 5 laps in the books here in Darlington. That's better than things went back at Atlanta last week. 2 separate incidents coming to the green flag back in Atlanta. That did serve to be the only caution of that race, but I say that we might have trouble out on the speedway. Corey Logan's turned around on the backstretch. Corey in that CZ Robotics 24. No caution flag out on the speedway. Looks like Corey is getting it rolling here, and it's going to go around again here. Still no caution, and Corey gets it pointed in the right direction again. It looks like we're going to be keeping things green here for the time being, as there comes the race leaders. There's Hicksenbog, there's Carl Felber, Mike Moultrie Jr., Tyler Aspinall. So it looks like A-OK for the CZ Robotics number 24. We'll get a replay of that here in just a second as we go up to the battle. Going on for the second position right now, Hicksenbog starting to pull up a decent little bit of a gap there over our 2 race leaders. Only 0.3 of a second, but it looks like a good 2-3 car links here at this raceway. A little bit of fun fact here about Darlington. All of this part of the racing surface that they're using up here, that was originally meant to be runoff. When this track was designed, it was originally intended for drivers to be running on the inside line at the very bottom of the track, not at the apron, but actually below the apron on the flat stuff around the speedway. But of course, people eventually found out that banked asphalt goes faster than flat one does, and sure enough, now we have it here in Darlington. Pretty much everyone runs the outside line to the best of their ability. And with that, there's tons of bumps and bruises and scrapes against that outside wall. And soon enough, we're going to be seeing a lot of these drivers proudly wearing the Darlington stripe on the right side of these Gen 4 cars. Still nose to tail for second is Hicksenbog, not quite able to pull the gap away anymore. Still keeping it pretty solidly here within 3 to 4 tenths of a second, fluctuating back and forth a little bit here. And will we see Moultrie try and make the move going down into the corner here? Nope, not quite able to. It seems like as long as these drivers are able to run the high line, generally things seem to be going pretty okay for them. The hard part is just making sure you don't scrape that outside wall, don't make any sort of big mistake, otherwise it's going to cost you big time in the long run here. A little bit further back, Nick Fuller duking it out with Brian Sabelski. Sabelski running back in the 6th position right now in that Club West Racing number 85. Not running his usual paint scheme here this evening. Of course, Sabelski was running here in the ARCA car. This is his first start here in the league in the Gen 4 though, so probably just didn't have that paint scheme prepared and ready to go. I believe he actually said he wasn't planning to attend this race, but he had a power outage during the race that he normally does on Monday nights, and since that booted him out of that race, he decided to show up for this one. So far, running inside the top 10, down one position from where he qualified, is that Octium number 10, and Nick Fuller gets around him, but still running in the top 10 for being out of the league and doing road course racing for the past several weeks now. All in all, a pretty solid start to Sadowski's evening. A little bit further back in the field here, there's a battle going on. This is for the 12th position right now. Joshua Rudolph duking it out with Mark Kludge here. Mark high up onto the outside line, maybe even scraping against the wall there just a little bit. Rudolph can make the dive down to the bottom, and he makes it work. Drifts big time up the speedway and wiggles coming out of turn number 4. But he is keeping it pointed in the right direction, and that is Rudolph in the 188 on the timing and scoring right now. It looks like he does not actually have a number on the side of that machine right now. That is the K9P Racing entry for him, running up in the 12th position right now. As potentially a little bit of trouble back in the back of the field here. Landon Wood has lost, looks like 3 positions just in that set of corners here, running in that number 13 machine. That is, oh, maybe a little bit of connection issues for that number 13 Landon Wood. That looks like that might be part of the problem right there. That looks like that is the Wounded Warrior Project 13, and it looks like Wood is bringing it down onto pit lane. So he definitely knows something is going wrong with the computer right now. Just ahead though, how about Daniel Sparks and Michael Sparks duking it out side by side? These two are related to each other, but Moose Landers from up in Calgary, running down here in the southern United States here this evening. Both of them running back in 16th and 17th respectively. Michael Sparks has lost positions from where he qualified. Daniel Sparks has gained a few. And right now Daniel is leading this battle by about 0.2 of a second roughly, occasionally fluctuating up to 0.3, but it's about 0.2 of a second between these two drivers. And I say that, and Michael Sparks gets hard into the outside wall, and that is just going to completely make him fall out of that battle. Now over a second back. A little bit further up here, Kevin West, Matt Sisler duking it out for 7th right now. Kevin West in that Trailer Park Dude number 01, the black, red, and blue entry. Then just behind Matt Sisler in the black and red 66 here. Both drivers have gained from where they qualified run, so both of them having a pretty solid evening here this evening, right up inside the top 10. Sisler did qualify inside the top 10. Kevin West did not. So Kevin taking some big moves here this evening. Not quite the biggest mover here tonight, though. It looks like that is going to be going to the 188 of Joshua Rudolph right now, who's up 6 positions where he qualified so far this evening. So generally throughout the field, folks are having a pretty solid run here this evening. Driver, of course, who isn't right now, Corey Logan, now being scored 5 laps down, had to go onto pit lane to get some of that damage looked at. Landon Wood also down on pit lane, potentially still having connection issues down there, so trying to get that diagnosed. And jump up in front, Daniel Wiles hot on the heels of Nick Fuller. It almost looked like they were about to make contact with each other through that corner, but not quite. Everything's still pointed in the right direction for these NASCAR Gen 4 drivers. All things considered, things are going pretty darn smoothly here this evening. Nothing too egregious out of these drivers here tonight, which is really surprising to see considering Darlington has a reputation of being such an incredibly difficult track compared to some of the other speedways on the schedule. Speaking of difficult tracks though, next week heading on over to Bristol for a little bit of short track racing. That is bound to be one heck of a race in these high-powered Gen 4 cars. Of course, ASRC was originally, at least the Oval Series, was originally a short track league for the longest time, for a full about 12 seasons leading up to the switch to the ARCA car a couple seasons ago, and now the Gen 4 car. But ASRC used to exclusively be a short track league. So I feel like a lot of these drivers, the veterans here in the league, might be getting back into their comfort zone, and we might see some of these long-time drivers here in the league start to show some of these newcomers what for. Of course, it is always Bristol, though. got to worry about the incidents. Things could get a little bit crazy down there because, of course, this is going to be the first short track that these drivers have taken this car to. A lot to be looking forward to next week, but for now, we still got to figure out who will be taking home the checkered flag for tonight's event. A little bit further up in the field, Mike Moultrie Jr. duking it out with Tyler Aspinall for the final position on the podium. Just ahead, that's the 24 of Corey Logan. A little bit of a checkup there. Mike Moultrie Jr. almost getting into the back of that 24, now hard up into the outside wall. He's going to lose the position to Tyler Aspinall, and here comes that Octium number 10 of Nick Fuller. He's going to get around that machine as well. Will Kevin West be able to follow through before Moultrie gets back up to speed? Quite possibly, especially since Moultrie is starting to fishtail here a little bit through the corner. But no, it is not going to be enough. I say that, Moultrie again into the outside wall. Kevin West is going to get around. Daniel Wiles might be able to follow through there as well. All it takes is one little mistake, and soon all the positions just start to slip through your fingers. Mike Moultrie Jr. down to 6th, was running up in 3rd not even 2 laps ago. And now Daniel Wiles is starting to look down and see if he can't make a move down there on the Amp Energy number 17 as well. Pretty much nose to tail through for these two drivers. Mike Moultrie Jr. running a slightly higher line than Wiles is, and of course I say that Moultrie is starting to slow down here. It almost looks like he just let Wiles by down the backstretch. I'm not really seeing any damage on that number 3 machine. Maybe a tiny bit of bending to the right front bodywork there. But definitely not how Mike Moultrie Jr. wanted his race to go, losing 4 positions just like that in a matter of a couple of laps. A little bit further back, here's a battle going on here between Brandon Feeney, who looks like he's off the pace here a little bit. Up ahead, Johnny Bell and Charles Jettings. Charles in that Veterans TV number 96, the South Carolina native, running here in this race against that Dirt TV 27 of Mr. Johnny Bell. Running in the Dirt TV entry driver out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Johnny, along with being one of the league admins, also does a good bit of not necessarily the same broadcasting work I do in real life, but he does a lot of the behind-the-scenes production type stuff for real-life racing, especially over at the Lernerville Speedway and things like that up in the Pittsburgh area. But unfortunately for him, no dirt to be racing on here in the Oval Series. It's all asphalt all the time. Right now, Johnny running back in 13th, 3 positions down from where he qualified, and I'll tell you what, Charles Jettings is hot on his heels. Johnny had a little bit of a wiggle going through the corner right there, and that's allowing Charles to just pretty much suck right up to the bumper and hold it there. And Charles starting to have a little bit of a connection issue as well. So a couple drivers around the speedway seem to have a little bit of technical problems here this evening, but still no caution. So far so good for these drivers. Charles running up on the high line, even higher than Johnny is, trying to keep it pretty much right up against the wall without scraping against it. Johnny being a little bit more cautious, a little bit more careful, going down a bit lower on his entry and then letting the car kind of drift up through the corner. So far it seems to be working in holding off Charles though, and it looks like both of them are actually catching up to Joshua Rudolph quite quickly here. Rudolph looks like he's running a little bit off the pace. That gap closed down from over a second to about 0.5 pretty quickly. And it's still fluctuating back and forth. Now Rudolph starting to pull away here just a little bit, so it looks like he got things together there as we have a couple of race leaders making their way around this battle. That is Hixenbog and Carl Felber coming around this battle between Johnny and Charles right now, and Johnny's going to be falling back here just a little bit. Charles still running the high line, still just continuing to do what he does here as we get 30 laps in the books. Starting to creep up slowly but surely on that halfway point here this evening. We did have a taker down on pit lane. It looks like Mike Moultrie Jr. did end up coming down earlier. Had a little bit of damage he wanted to get fixed. It looks like we might have trouble there. That was the 13 of Landon Wood, looking very loose down on the apron, nearly sideways, but it looks like we got it pointed back in the right direction. Landon currently being scored 6 laps down along with Corey Logan. Daniel Sparks is also down on pit lane. He's been down there for about 5 minutes now. He is being scored another 5 laps below Landon and Corey right now. And as I say that, Michael Sparks is going to be the next driver to make the call down to pit lane. I would imagine this is a scheduled stop. I'm not really seeing any damage on that 42 that needs to be fixed up. There's a little bit of scraping to the paint on the right side, but that's just that Darlington stripe on the side of the car. Not a whole lot that can be done about that necessarily. As he pulls down into his pit box, let's see. Looks like he will be taking tires here on that 42 machine, so it does look like this is a scheduled stop for him. He should be releasing here in just a couple of seconds. And sure enough, off he goes. So this was a scheduled pit stop for the 42, and it looks like that is the first actually scheduled pit stop of the evening so far. Now currently looking up at Kevin West in the 01, following around some lap traffic once again. That's the 188 of Joshua Rudolph and the 27 of Johnny Bell, and they're going to make contact. Big contact. Caution flag out for the first time here this evening. Not quite sure what the plan was there, but it didn't really seem to work out for a couple of these drivers. First caution flag on the speedway here tonight is going to be Johnny Bell and Kevin West. So look back here, get another look at that. Starting off here side by side, so this is Johnny Bell and Kevin West. Kevin in the K9P gray car there. Both of these cars are a lap down, with the 01 machine on the lead lap, the 29 machine also on the lead lap in it. Looks like maybe just a little bit too much hustling and not enough room to make it happen. Kevin West trying to get the pressure of the 29 of Tyler Aspinall. Get a little bit of breathing room there, and just not quite enough room to make everything happen here. Let's go back here again. Let's ride on board with Tyler Aspinall, so see what he saw going into this incident. Now, I don't really want to say anything here, race fans, but I think I heard Tyler lift a little bit off the gas there, so I don't know how true that status of it is. That quote from the ARCA series back at Daytona, I do think he lifted a little bit before seeing God or the checkered flag, but that's just me. I don't know quite sure about that. Let's get one more look at this incident right quick before we see what these drivers are up to for pit stops. For what's worth, it doesn't look like there's anything too catastrophic in terms of damage here. While I say that, Kevin West still down on pit lane along with Mark Kludge. Both of them have been down there a little bit longer than we would expect for a scheduled pit stop. And Kludge and Sisler are now working their way back out. So yeah, Kevin West is getting some damage fixed. Has been down in his box for about 45 seconds now. Roughly, we're expecting the lap times to be between 14 and 17 seconds roughly. So definitely having to get some work done on that 01 machine. Johnny Bell still coming down pit lane along with the rest of the lap cars here. Not on the lead lap right now. So Johnny and the rest of the lap cars making their steps right now. Feeney, Rudolph, Sparks, Logan, Wood all in their pit box right now. Benjamin Harsey, Charles Jettings also down. Sisler also down. Basically, every driver has pit under this pit stop. That's basically what you need here to know here. Everyone has used this caution to make a stop, and that's pretty much the right play. We're right at the halfway point, so might as well make it happen And it is looking like Johnny's getting some damage work done here as well. He's been down in his box a little bit longer than we would expect for these drivers. But honestly, I could say that for most of these lap cars. Most of these lap cars have been in their box for longer than we expect. Johnny Bell's been down there for just shy of 40 seconds. Feeney's been in there for close to 50. Rudolph in there close to 50. Sparks and Logan both also been in their boxes for more than 50 seconds now. So it looks like all of the cars that are lapped down have picked up some damage here this evening, and all of them are using this caution to try and get their cars in a little bit better working condition. While we are here under this yellow though, let's also take a moment to go back and take a look at that incident with Corey Logan back at the very start of this race that I meant to bring up earlier. Only have time to get one or two views of this, but looking down at that 24, this was back on lap number 5 of the race. And it looks like there was help from the 45 machine. That was Mark Kludge that gave Corey a little bit of help there. Always more to the story. That is a little bit extra info we were lacking when we saw that incident happen live. I thought that was a self-spin initially. Regardless, going to be going green flag racing this time by with 38 laps in the books. It's going to be Bryson Hicksonbog and Carl Felver, your front row. Then Tyler Aspinall, Daniel Wiles for row number 2. Nick Fuller and Ryan Sabelski for row 3. Benjamin Harsh, Charles Jettings, row 4. And Kevin West and Mark Kluge are going to be rounding out the top 10 coming to the green here. Matt Sisler, the last driver on the lead lap right now, being scored back in 11th. Pace car is going to make the dive down to the safety of pit lane. We are going to be trying this thing once again. Green flag up in the air and trouble. Nick Fuller. Big wheel spin coming to the green. They're going to check up the field here a bit from 5th on back to about 8th. And we are nearly sending it 3 wide here at Darlington. This could be trouble. That 3 machine of Mike Moultrie Jr. not on the lead lap right now, so that was a little bit of a scary battle going on right there. And he's going to make contact with the number 10. Oh, boy. I don't know why we're still green flag racing right now, but we are. There are more cars stopped on the apron, and we are still green flag racing. I'm okay. Well, I think that's just iRacing's automated caution for you there, race fans. They see all of that nice, lovely apron before the racing surface, and they go, yeah, that's fine. It's no big deal. We can keep it green. Things are crazy around the speedway. They're still battling for the race lead. There's even more crazy battles going on back in the mid-pack as there's drivers all over the place at all different speeds right now. Things are getting a little bit crazy here at Darlington. We're going to take a moment to go back and look at that incident here in just a second once we make sure everyone's gotten things settled out and are mostly calm and being normal with each other, and it looks like around the field generally things are a-okay. Carl Felver is starting to catch up on Bryson Hicksonbog for the race lead. It's still about 2 or 3 car lengths back. I'm shocked to see that we are still going green flag racing here, everybody. That was a little bit of chaos here. Zabelski got pointed in the right direction. He's still on the lead lap. He is still going. Mark Kludge still also pointed in the right direction and going here as well. So it looks like everyone who was involved in that incident has stayed out on the speedway. They got their cars pointed in the right direction and are all still racing here. A little bit further back, Matt Sisler, Charles Jettings battling it out side by side. And you know who we are missing here is none other than Mr. Nick Fuller. He is down on pit lane. It looks like Nick Fuller did take the tow. So there was one casualty of that incident. Not everyone is still on the racetrack right now. Fuller just had to take the tow down to pit lane. And that might potentially be the end of Fuller's evening here, considering how many cars there are a lap down right now. There's no way he's going to get a lucky dog to get back up onto the lead lap here. That said, now things have mostly started to settle down around the speedway. Most of the battles going on are these battles for first and for third, respectively. Hicksonbog and Felver duking it out for the lead. Aspinall and Wiles here battling it out for the final podium position. And it looks like Wiles starting to close the distance. He might be getting ready to try and make a move on that number 29 machine. And I say that and he slowly starts to fall back just a little bit. And I say that Aspinall gets up into the outside line. I just need to stop saying words, because whenever I say that everything is okay, suddenly it is not anymore. Wild will make the move on Aspinall, as even further back, Kevin West makes the move on Benjamin Harsty. Harsty is still hot on the skill zone. Harsty is actually really a driver we have not spoken out at all here this evening. Harsty running up +2 from where he qualified, was back in 8th at the start of this thing. Now running up in 6th on the outside, looking into the top 5 right now in that iRacing number 09 machine. That said, now that we've got a bit of a brief second to breathe, let's quickly take a look back and see what all just went down for that incident going on a bit earlier. Looking back down at the 85 of Brian Sabelski, and pretty much looks like Mike Moultrie Jr. got in the back of the Yakium number 10. Sabelski didn't really be involved in that incident as well. He just kind of spun around trying to bring the car to the stop. Most of the real drama here is between Nick Fuller and the 3 of Mike Moultrie Jr., and that was just a massive shove there. Really good work by everyone else to not get more involved in that incident. That could have been a whole lot worse than it needed to be, but really Nick Fuller was just getting the short end of the stick there. He is the only driver that wasn't able to continue running from that incident. And I say that, caution flag is out on the speedway, and we're not sure who it's for. Oh, well, that would be it. It's the C0Lux24 of Corey Logan that looks like it went around there. And that was weird. We did not get any word from the booth that there was an incident until the caution flag came out, but it's looking like it was for the 24 of Corey Logan. So let's see if we can't take a look back here, try and see what all brought out this caution flag. Corey run down there in the 24, and there's the Amp Energy number 17 of Daniel Wiles. Look back at that, get a top-down view from our lovely iRacing.com blimp, see what all went down. And my answer is, I don't really know, race fans. I don't know one little bit. I would love to come up with an explanation here, and I'm not really sure. There was a bump. One car bumped another car, and there was a spin. I can guarantee that much. The 2 cars touched, and someone got the short end of the stick of it. But for the rest of that, I'm not really sure. Regardless, we are seeing more drivers be takers down on the pit lane. Aspinall comes down, Wiles comes down, West comes down, Harsty comes down, Sisler comes down. It looks like Carl Felver, Charles Jettings, Mark Kluge, Brian Sabelski, Bryson Hicksenbog, all electing to stay out here. Nope, Bryson came down as well. So just Sabelski, Kluge, Jettings, and Felver staying out under this yellow. And we are now within 25 to go, so we are getting ready to be in the closing chapters of this event, and Charles Jettings changes his mind. He's going to make the call to come down pit lane in that Vet TV number 96. Of course, Charles, the South Carolina native here running in tonight's event. Maybe having a little bit of a home track advantage, maybe not. He was up inside the top 5 when that caution flag came out though. Now that he's down on pit lane, of course losing all that ground, but might as well make a second stop here under this yellow. Looks like pretty much everyone around the field, with the exception of your top 3, is making the call to do it right now. So what is there really to lose? Maybe it could be the play here. Fair enough, yeah, looking around the field, it's just Carl Felver, Mark Kluge, and Brian Sabelski that have elected to stay out here. Kluge right now up plus 15 in that brand number 45 right now. Big question is going to be, how will the tires hold up for our top 3? I think that they should relatively be okay. We've only been green flag racing, well, not green flag racing, but we've only put about 15 or so laps on these tires since everyone made their green flag pit stops. So not a crazy amount of difference on the old tires versus the new ones. At least I wouldn't think there should be that much of a difference here. We'll just have to see how bad our top three wheel spin when we take the green flag. And sure enough, we are getting the one to go from race control this time by, so it's going to be 23 to go when we take the green flag here. Second caution out on the speedway, I believe. I may be wrong, but I believe this is the first race of the season to have more than one caution. Of course, don't quote me on that. There's a very real chance I could be mistaken there, but I'm pretty confident in saying that. Right now, Carl Felver leading the points by 35 over Daniel Wiles, and it's going to be another 48 over Kevin West back in third, then another only 17 back to Charles Jennings, then Michael Moultrie 8 points back in fifth right now. So things really not all that spread apart up in our top five in the point standings right now, but still 23 to go, green flag up in the air. Let's see how things shake out here at Darlington. A huge lead built up by that 15 of Carl Felver coming to the green here. Everyone else kind of caught with their pants down, it looks like. Maybe... I don't know, I don't think the tires are entirely to blame for that. Hixenbog making a move around Mark Pooch. Kevin West also making the move up there. Mark going way up high here in that 45 as Sisler gets around him as well. And here comes Aspinall and Harsty up on him pretty darn quickly. That 45 machine just does not have the speed it needs. It looks like maybe making this pit stop was the call here after all. The 45 immediately going down from second all the way back up to back down to sixth right now. Harsty makes the move down the backstretch. Here comes the Vet TV number 96 of Charles Jennings going around him as well. Then we're going to see Brian Zabelski and Mike Moultrie Jr. Oh no, that's not Mike Moultrie Jr. That is the Amp Energy number 17 of Daniel Wiles coming up on him. Then Sabelski looks like he's going to make the pass as well. That 45 just does not have a whole lot of speed left to play with. With 20 to go, that could be a very dangerous position for him to be in unless another caution flag comes out on the track. That maybe would work out for him, but for now things not looking super good. Looking up here at the battle for the lead as it is pretty much nose to tail for your top four right now. Aspinall back in fifth, a little bit further out from the rest of these drivers, but Felver and Hixenbog right up against each other. Kevin West right up there as well. Hixenbog's going to pull it down low, try and make the move, going down into 3 and 4, and looks like he is going to get it. Kevin West trying to follow through, not quite able to. At least not that time around. Still all nose to tail, but everyone's being patient with each other, and that's half the battle sometimes. As Carl Felver gets into the outside wall, that's going to lose him the spot to Sisler and Kevin West just like that. West still right. Not quite on the bumper of Hixenbog anymore, but he's got Matt Sisler right up there as well in that 66 machine. Only 17 laps left to go here at Darlington. Things are probably only going to get more and more dramatic in these final couple of laps as people realize that we are finally getting into go time. There's no more room to be making mistakes here, especially not at a track like this where we've seen just how costly even minor scrapes against that outside wall can be, losing you 5, 6, 7 positions over the course of just 1 or 2 laps. Does look like everyone starting to fan out a little bit, start to play a little bit nicer with each other. Hixenbog in that 63 is pulling up a pretty decent gap over the rest of the field right now. I believe, I don't know the exact numbers right now, but I believe Hixenbog's going to be taking home the bonus point for most laps led here this evening. If not, he's definitely got his name on the board for leading at least one lap, along with a couple other drivers, so gonna be bonus points galore for the most part. I don't know how much these drivers are going to be getting the clean racing bonus points here tonight, because between all the wall scrapes and all of these crazy green flag incidents we've seen, I'm going to be impressed if anyone walks away here with 0 incident points to their name. Of course, here's the point. There is a bonus point for having 0 incidences, or actually 2 bonus points for that, and then it's one less bonus point for if you have 3 or less. So it's not the end of the world if you don't have a perfectly clean race, but you still need to keep those incidences low to be picking up as many points as possible. Right now, Aspinall trying to make the low line work around Carl Felver, and for once we actually see it kind of work out here. Felver's been running that high line all this evening, and generally the high line is where we end up seeing Felver most of the tracks we've been to, and generally he's running very dominant up there. But this time around it seems like not quite able to make it work. As whoa, that could have been very bad. That was the number 13 of Landon Wood, currently running, it's like 18 laps down right now, but still out on the speedway, getting more experience, getting more seat time in that number 13. Every lap you manage to turn makes you just a little bit better at understanding what that car is going to do to you and get you more prepared for the next race. Going into tonight's event, Landon Wood being scored back in the 29th position in the championship standings, stuck in between Justin Walters and Coy Hasselou. Then just above Coy is actually going to be Mark Kludge, so Landon is in some battles here in the championship point standings right now. And even if he is 18 laps down and still staying out on the speedway, is a potential to gain a position or 2 from wrecked out cars, and potentially 1 or 2 extra points to take with him later into the season. Looking up here now, Benjamin Harsty battling it out with Carl Felver and Daniel Wiles. All nice in a battle with each other. This is for 5th, so the last position, and oh, well, maybe not. Caution flag is out on speedway. Caution flag going to be flying with 10 laps to go. And now it's going to be a mad dash to the finish. And I'll tell you what, maybe for the first time here in Season 14, we will see a little bit of overtime get employed here. But for now, let's take a look back here at this incident. We saw it happen live on camera. Carl Felver, Benjamin Harsty. Carl going a little bit too hot into the corner, had to slow the car down and managed to do it. But just not quite enough time for Harsty to react to that. Let's take another look down here. Just a bit of a difference in speed, and honestly, I mean, I think it would have happened anyways, but I think that there was a little bit of netcode there that might have played a role in that as well. How about Ray Ride on board with Charles Jennings, see what he saw with that incident going down into turn 1. As we know, that's turn 3. You would think with this being my hometown track, you would know which corners are which, but no, not quite. We got one more look down here at this. Just the slightest little bit of a tap, but with the noses and tail ends of these cars being built the way they are, you pretty much just get them hooked together. And once that contact is made, there's not a whole lot that can be done to stop it from happening. So Carl Felver, Mike Moultrie Jr., and Mark Kluge all going to be coming down onto pit lane. It's looking like the rest of the field is going to be electing to stay out here and just try and take what they have with them to the end of the race. Looks like as it stands, we still have 12 drivers on the lead lap, And I'd imagine that we're going to be seeing that 27 of Johnny Bell being given the lucky dog this time around, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, no, it's looking like maybe it is Brian Sabelski that's getting it. It looks like Brian should be on the lead lap right now. Either way, we'll give it a minute for everyone to get themselves lined up correctly, everyone gets sorted out, and then we should have a little bit of a better idea of who is doing what and where. I believe that it's Johnny Bell that should be getting the lucky dog under this yellow. And if that is the case, that will be having us with 13 drivers still on the lead lap. Which, considering all the drama we've had here this evening, 23 is not a bad number to be taken to this probably going to be about 5-lap shootout to the finish. Maybe 6, depending on if the lights go out this time by. Alright, sure enough, we're being given the one to go, so it's going to be 6 laps to the checkered flag here this evening, provided we don't have any theatrics going on leading up to that. And right now it's looking like it's going to be Bryson Hixenbog and Kevin West as your front row coming to the screen. That's going to be Matt Sisler, Tyler Aspinall for row 2. Benjamin Harsty, Daniel Weil is back in 5th and 6th. Row 4 going to be Charles Jettings, Brian Zabelski with Mike Moultrie Jr. and Carl Felver rounding out your top 10. And Johnny Bell's not getting a lucky dog, so it will be Joshua Rudolph and Mark Fuge, the last drivers still on the lead lap here. If the caution flag does fly, Johnny Bell and Brandon Feeney are both only a single lap down. So whichever of those 2 drivers is in the lead at the time of caution will be put back on the lead lap, and we will be having 14 drivers, potentially, with a shootout to the finish. But that is hinging on the big what if. We're just going to have to see how polite and how friendly these drivers are with each other as we come to take the green flag, and we are already going green flag racing, and immediately there's trouble as Daniel Wiles gets hard into the outside wall, and we are going 3 wide as everyone scrambles to go around him here. And oh, big drift up for Mike Moultrie Jr. He gains a couple of spots on that restart, but looking sketchy here. But everyone's generally single filed out. I say that, and we are 3 wide here again here at Darlington. Carl Felber is going to back out of it. Ryan Zazelski kind of backing out of it as well, but still managing to keep it side by side with Harsty. Harsty is going to lose position. He's going to lose 2 as Carl Felber gets around him as well. Big high five in the air. 5 laps to go here at Darlington, one way or another. And things are crazy all around the field. Up the front, Bryson Hixenbog continues to lead Kevin West about 0.6 of a second back, but it looks like he is losing ground here just a little bit. For the back, Mike Moultrie Jr. putting the pressure down on Matt Sisler. Mike trying to find himself back up inside the podium one way or another. Was involved in a little bit of incidents earlier in the goings of this race, but he has worked his way back up inside of the top 5. Now he just has to figure out how to make that pass on the 66 machine. He's right up on there, so he might just have the momentum he needs to make it happen here, but 4 laps left to go. Will it be enough? He's going to try and make the pass up on the high line, and it looks like he's going to be able to do it. Sister Moultrie finds his way back up to 4th, running where he qualified, but will he be able to get around Aspinall and get back up inside the podium in that good wrench number 3? Getting right up on the bumper of the 29 machine. He's going to pull it down low, and it looks like he might be able to make the move going down into turns 3 and 4. He's going to make the move happen, and it sticks. So Mike Moultrie Jr. now up into 3rd. Kevin West still running in 2nd. Bryson Hixenbog still up in 1st. A full second between 1st and 2nd. Another full second between 2nd and 3rd. So right now this is the closest battle on the speedway here with 2 laps left to go. All Hixenbog wants at this point is to see the white flag fly. And as Aspinall has a scrape against the outside wall, he's going to lose another position. Matt Sisler now up into 4th. but will it be enough? White flag up in the air here at Darlington, so even if there is a wreck, the caution flag will not fly, and that's exactly what we're having happen as Carl Felber gets turned in the outside wall. Tyler Aspinall getting hard on the brakes. He's the one who tagged the rear end of him, and he's going to lift off to let him keep the position. Now battling it out with Brian Sabelski. This is for the 6th position as Kevin West side by side with Mike Moultrie Jr. Mike Moultrie Jr. is going to make the move happen at the line. He's going to bring it home in 2nd. And Bryson Hicksonbog is going to be our race winner here at Darlington. Tell you what, race fans, we had some good green flag runs going on in there, but Darlington has earned its reputation as being one of the most difficult tracks on the NASCAR schedule, and it's going to be none other than Bryson Hicksonbog that manages to take home the win. And something that's important to keep in mind, since we are following a real-world NASCAR schedule, here in, once we get up to September, we're going to be going to Darlington again, and we're going to be going for 125 miles rather than the 100 we had here this evening. So if you enjoyed what you saw here this evening, go ahead and get yourself ready for here in a couple months when we come back in season number 16. It's going to be the driver out of Gilbert, Arizona, taking home the win here this evening. Coming into tonight's event, being scored back in the 17th position in the championship standings. And he's also going to be taking home a 2nd win to his name, because he took home the win back at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway as well. Got a late start to the season, but 2 wins to his name. He might just be putting himself up there in the battle with the other championship contenders here in these next couple of weeks. That said, race fans, don't go anywhere. We will be back here in just a moment with some words with your top 3 finishers. Alrighty, race fans, welcome back to Darlington Raceway and welcome back to the Attrition Sim Race Campus Oval Series presented by SM Racing Products. 100 miles of drama and theatrics are in the books here tonight, and it's going to be none other than Mr. Bryson Hicksonvog that takes home the checkered flag here in South Carolina. Bryson, how are you feeling here this evening?
I'm feeling pretty good. Definitely had a lot of speed out there. Had a lot of fun. Had some good battles, and then some strategy there at the end to decide it.
It certainly seemed to work out for you. I mean, I don't have the exact numbers here, but I feel pretty confident in saying you led the most laps here tonight.
Yeah, definitely led a lot early. Carl Felver was hounding me a lot in that first run there. I was trying to do everything I could to save enough to make it to halfway because it was real close there. Then that caution came out and kind of changed the game.
Yeah, I think we broke our record for most caution so far this season here tonight. Was there any point with any of these yellow flags flying here this evening that you got worried that maybe someone might make something work in the short run?
Uh, Definitely something you always got to worry about here. That one restart with about 20 to go there, when I was restarting in fourth, I was real worried that the front row was going to spin their tires. 'Cause that's definitely a huge issue here at Darlington. But we got through that restart all nice and well, and made it through to the front, and then survived the remaining cautions after that.
Well, it certainly seemed to work out one way or another. You've definitely shown you got a lot of speed competing out here with these drivers. And while you did get a little bit of a late start to the season, 2 wins to your name should be starting to put you up into battling with the other championship contenders. So heading into Bristol next week, do you think that's a track where you're going to be able to keep this momentum going?
I'm definitely not as good at tracks like Bristol compared to the mile and a halfs. Mile and a halfs is really what I feel like I'm best at. I think I can have some speed at Bristol, but I tend to struggle with saving tires. Not enough there, and just going early and then getting past 10 laps later.
Fair enough. Well, we do have the 4 drop weeks for a reason, so even if it doesn't really work out, heading out after that, we are going to Texas, so that might be a little bit better news for you.
Yeah, yeah. Texas will be good, and then I believe after that is Martinsville, so that'll be an interesting couple stretch races.
Sure enough. That said, for now, though, of course, you got a second win to your name to celebrate, so I won't keep you here all night. But before you head out for this evening, the microphone is all yours, Mr. Hicksonbog. Who do you want to thank for making everything happen?
Yeah, I'd like to shout out my friends and family that I'm sure are either going to watch live or watch the VOD later. Thank you guys for all the support in sim racing career, and it's uh, great to be in another league that I can have a broadcast to share with you guys.
Good deal. Well, thank you for coming out here this evening, and congratulations on taking home another win. And I look forward to seeing you next week at Bristol.
Thank you. See you then.
And looks like right now we have not gotten either of our other podium contenders up here in the broadcast booth right yet. So we're going to give them another minute or two, see if they can't make their way up here so we can give them some words for their efforts here this evening. Looks like back in second, it's going to be Mike Moultrie Jr. in that good wrench number 3, and then back in third, driver we've talked to a couple of times here this season, that is going to be the 01 of Kevin West, rounding out our podium here this evening. So far, no words from either of them over the radio coming up here into the broadcast booth, so we'll wait here for just another moment or two and see if we can't hear from either of those drivers. But either way, heck of a race has been here tonight. 3 cautions in 75 laps. Is one heck of a event here tonight. A whole lot of drama, a whole lot of theatrics, and that's exactly what Darlington's known for in the real world. So not really any big surprise there. That said, it's looking like probably not going to be getting any of our other drivers up here into the broadcast booth. So unfortunately not able to hear from Mike Moultrie Jr. or Kevin West here tonight, but I'll tell you what, only halfway into the season, still got plenty of races left to go and plenty of more opportunities to be hearing from those drivers. That said, of course, there was a lot more than just your top 3 drivers here in tonight's event. So how about we take a look down and see how the remaining rest of the field shook out here this evening. After our top 3, we have Mr. Matt Sisler running back in 4th in that number 66 machine. Then back rounding out the top 5 is going to be the 15 of Carl Felver, our championships point leader coming into tonight's event, and presumably still the championship points leader heading out of it. Back in 6th, that's going to be the 85 of Brian Sabelski, 4-time champion, making his return to the league here this evening. Of course, running on a part-time schedule, making his debut race here in Season 14. Going to be walking away back in 6th. Back in 7th, that's going to be the 29 of Tyler Aspinall, followed by the 96 of Charles Jettings. Back in 8th, the South Carolina native. That's going to be the 188 of Joshua Rudolph, followed by Daniel Wiles in the 17, rounding out the top 10. Back in 11th, it's Benjamin Harsty, followed by Mark Kluge back in 12th. Brandon Feeney in the Beefy Motorsports number 38, bringing it home back in 13th, with Johnny Bell and Michael Sparks back in 14th and 15th, respectively. 16th, going back to the CZ Robotics 24 of Corey Logan, who it seemed like they just found themselves on the short end of the stick at every point tonight here in this evening's event. Still going to be walking away back in 16th. 17th, going to go back to the 4 of Daniel Sparks with the 13 of Landon Wood back in 18th. That's going to be Nick Fuller rounding out the tail end of the field here. Of course, James Pileski did not qualify, did not make the call to the grids, and as such, he will not be getting scored on the actual points championship for today's event. But who knows? I mean, this was our first time ever seeing James Pileski, so maybe he'll have some excitement for us heading next week into Bristol. That said, that's just about all we got here this evening at Darlington. Been one heck of a show here tonight, and of course, going to be heading on over to Bristol next week, same day, same time, Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. But for now, thank you all for tuning in, race fans, and I look forward to seeing you all next time. Have a good evening.